Well, some of you, particularly if you watch a couple of programs on Fox News, may have heard about this viral music video that was made right here in our backyard. Here's a clip.
We said we gotta hold on to what we got. Doesn't make a difference if we make it or not. We got each other, and that's a lot for love. We'll give it a shot. Oh, halfway there, yeah. Living on a prayer. Take my hand, we'll make it, I swear, yeah. Living on a prayer. Living on.
Well, the two individuals on opposite ends of that song join us here now because they're right here from our neck of the woods. The gentleman here to my left, you've met him before. He was our guest on our show last summer. He's a community activist and a guy really working to break down walls here in Central Iowa. Will Keeps, good to see you again, brother. How are you?
Man, it's good to see you, man.
You got some reaction last time you were on here on the show, right?
I did, man. It was some good reactions, man. I wish I would have stayed a little bit longer.
Well, we weren't sure until you came on more than 10 or 12 people watched this thing. And then after you came on, we found out it's at least 13 or 14.
Wow.
Yeah, so thank you very much.
I got one more.
Yeah, you helped us grow. We appreciate that.
That's what's up.
All right, the officer to my right is Officer Mike Moody. And Mike, it is a pleasure, officer, to have you with us. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thanks.
So let's reset who everybody is. We'll kind of refresh, since we've already been down the longer road with you, and we want to give him more time because he's new. Kind of give us the Cliff's Notes Reader's Digest version. Who's Will Keeps?
Will Keeps is a father, a musician, a activist. I just built me a school now, so I'll probably have me a school, a charter school real soon. I'm a person who loves to bring people together. I'm a person who loves to heal, you know, and we talked about this before. I get a lot of backlash for doing it, but you know, I'm going to be the person that I am so I can sleep good at night. So I'm going to heal, bring us together.
So you don't really labels, all those sorts of things, those excuses we use. It was interesting. I don't know. Did you watch the Final Four over the weekend?
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it. I watched the UCLA one.
All right. Did you see Charles Barkley's comments in
What'd he
between
say?
games? Barkley, well, they had brought up the controversy about whether Major League Baseball was going to move its All-Star game with the voting law in Georgia, and that lent itself to a broader conversation about race relations in America. And Barkley essentially said, listen, man, I'm successful. I've been all over the country. I've met a lot of people, black and white. The vast majority of people, regardless of how they look, really want the same things for their children and grandchildren. And a lot of these things are really just divisions that are exploited from a lot of people on both sides of the aisle because it's politically advantageous for them to do so. And I kind of thought about you when I heard him say that, because that's what I see you do, which is essentially it's a very outcome-based approach, which is if you want to help, then we'll take your help. Period. In a sentence. Right?
We'll take your help. I'm all about people. I'm not about labels. I'm not about, you know, Democrat, Republicans, white, black. Who wants to help bring us together? Who wants to help our kids? Who wants to help our families? Who? You know what I mean? That's what I'm about. I get criticized for that because a lot of people don't like that I work with the police. They don't like that I work with the government, the Republicans. They don't like it. But my thing is that if I'm not going to wait for a Democrat, I'm not going to wait for a black person or whoever to help me. I'm going to get the help from the people who's ready to help me right now. So if a Democrat, Republican, black, white, Latino, Asian is ready to help me bring people together and help our kids and help our families, let's go.
Officer Moody, tell us a little bit about you. You were talking to us some of your background working in law enforcement. Can you share that with our audience?
Yeah, I've been a policeman for a little over 32 years. My father was a policeman. My brother was a policeman. My sister married a policeman, so it's kind of in the blood. But I've done an array of different jobs at the police department. I was on the SWAT team for a while. I was in the gang unit for a while. I worked as an SRO at a few of our schools here in Des Moines. And that's pretty much my background. Right now I'm working up in the Skywalk, which is pretty quiet.
Yeah. Well, and it turns out that you can sing a little bit as well, right? Are you getting all kinds of karaoke challenge invitations now?
I don't do karaoke at all.
You're not the ringer they're calling in? You're not bringing him in? All right. So how did you meet this guy? How did you two meet?
When I was an SRO a few years ago, we have a program through the Des Moines Police Department that's called the Second Chance Program. And what that is when kids get in trouble and we have a choice as a police officer to arrest them, issue them a ticket, give them a warning. It depends on the seriousness of the crime, and it depends on their attitude a lot. But we have one other choice, which was a Second Chance Program. And it's put on by the Des Moines Police Department. And what we do is we take them for a 40-hour class for 1 week on spring vacation or winter break or whatever. And they have to attend these classes. And one of the classes was Will coming out and speaking to these kids. And I was fortunate enough to sit through one of his classes and actually listen to what he had to say to these guys. And I was completely blown away.
Will, can you share kind of a snippet of what that message was?
Basically, it's not about what you've been through, but it's how you get through. We all go through something in our life, and I'm teaching these kids how to get through, not let their tragic situations or things that happen in their life dictate how they move in a negative way.
And how have you, in your own life, put that to good use? I mean, what have you had to overcome?
I've overcome being molested at 7 years old, being left for dead at 15 years old, being in a sense abandoned by my parents sometimes. I went through so many deaths, friendships, of family members, even people that I've mentored, you know what I'm saying, in my life. And it's been devastating to see so many people die that I knew. And I told myself, I can't be this person who wants to destroy because of what I've been through. I have to be this person who wants to heal. And I felt like when I was molested at 7 years old that I lost who I was. And now at the age I am today and the work that I'm doing today, I feel like I'm becoming the person I was before I was molested. It's like it's coming back. I'm being that person I'm supposed to be. And a lot of these kids, they are good kids. And I want them to understand that. So I want to build something for them so they can understand how good they are.
Your hefty decades of experience, Mike, working on the police force. Is there, I don't know if you guys knew who the late, great Chuck Colson was, but he ran a great ministry called Prison Fellowship all over the country. And towards the end of his life, I had the honor of getting to interview him. And he himself went to prison for Watergate, had a religious conversion there, turned his entire life around, and Prison Fellowship was the ministry he founded to go into prisons and minister to people who also he thought needed a second chance. Right. And one of the things that Chuck said to me in this interview is that if there was one trend that he could say was a commonality on every death row he'd ever been to all over the country, it was, who's your dad? And either they didn't know, or my dad's also in a place like this, and I'd been better off probably not knowing, right? If you're decades in law enforcement, now you're on the community engagement side of it as well. Is there a common theme or thread that you can see in your experience, anything along those lines?
Pretty much the same thing. I mean, when I was an SRO at Roosevelt, that's a local high school here in Des Moines, by the way. Yeah. I had a lot of kids that would come in my office and just sit down and talk with me and build a relationship because I was a male role model to them because they didn't have anything else available to them. And those were kids that were coming in every single day just wanting to talk, just wanting to build a relationship. And, that was probably the greatest job I had on the Des Moines Police Department. So you guys meet when he is speaking, as one of the speakers to your program. What happens after that? I talked to Will right after that because at the end of his program, he plays some of his music videos that he's done, which are awesome. They're amazing, and I was very taken back. You brought it on that harmony there. I mean, that was pretty impressive, brother.
Thanks,
I got to tell you that.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I cracked 8,000 times
Did you? So we only saw the take that actually worked.
Right.
We didn't see all the ones that sucked. We just saw the only one that worked.
Take one, take two, take three, take four.
Take 8,000 is one hell of a take. You need to know that. All right, but go ahead.
Yeah,
Mike.
we both made our mistakes on
Yeah.
that. So, but I talked to him afterwards, and I said, hey, I play a little music and I sing a little bit. I said, we should get together sometime. And I don't think he thought there was much there for perspective. I think he just kind of went, yeah, sure, we'll do it, and we didn't do it. Well, I was lucky enough to somebody videotaped me playing in the Skywalk. There's a gentleman that plays a guitar up in the Skywalk every day, and I asked him if I could play his guitar one day, and I just played like 10 seconds of a song, and somebody videotaped
What song was it?
Wanted Dead or Alive, another Bon Jovi
see,
song.
that's one of my all-time. That would be like in my all-time top 10.
Yeah.
You're a cowboy on a steel horse you ride, Mike.
Amen.
Yeah, I knew that about you when you walked in. All right. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I played like 10 seconds of it. Some guy videotaped it. I didn't even know he was videotaping it, and he put it online, and it just took off. And I think Will seen it, and
No, it was before that because we was working on Living on a Prayer before the Skyline thing happened.
were we?
Yeah, because we did it at your friend's house
Yeah,
a while ago.
That
we
was
recorded it there.
I thought that was after. I could be wrong. I don't know why Will came around to finding that I had some talent, but
Yeah.
no, I'm just kidding. I just think it's a great thing that we both came up with the idea. We both sat down and said, "Look, what do we want to do?" And originally, Will had mentioned he wanted to do Wanted Dead or Alive, and I was like, "Well, that might not be a good."
Yeah.
for us to do.
I can see where that could be problematic.
I'm
yes.
a cowboy.
So we decided to go with Living on a Prayer, and we kind of changed it up a little bit, kind of made it our own. Will even added some rap into it, and yeah, the rest is history. I mean, it kind of took off.
What did you guys want this project? What was the hope? Was it just meant to be fun and then it just took off a life on its own, or is there a purposeful audience or message there that you were trying to convey with this?
We wanted people to know that it's beautiful working together. Like a black man with a do-rag on his head can work with a police officer. You know what I'm saying? It's like I just want people to know that we're not all enemies, that we're not all fighting each other. I always tell people all the time, I say if a bad cop or a black person did something bad, a white person did something bad, whoever, say their name instead of saying the whole crew. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
So Mike is a good guy. Mike may have made some mistakes in his life. I made some mistakes in my life. Me and Mike might disagree on some things, but me and Mike agree on a lot of things. Me and Mike decided to say, look, we're going to actually come together and show people that we can disagree. We can probably dislike some things that's going on, but we will work together and show people that it is possible for us to heal.
I love the emphasis you placed there on treating people as individuals. You talked earlier about the trauma of your childhood, the lost sense of identity that came out of that, and trying to recover. The reason we have so much craving for identity as a species is because that's also where we get a notion of what our purpose is here. What's the point of our being on the earth, right? And you feel like that's been recovered with the work that you're doing now, which I would really say is a form of a ministry, is kind of what you're doing right now. And what concerns me, and I say this, I don't want to be one of those people, well, the media does, I work in the media. I have a pretty large platform in the media. I'm part of the media. So we in the media do too much of this, regardless of what side of the aisle we're on or what ideological slant we have. It is interpreting the news or stories through the slant of how a particular group will see it as if everybody is a monolith. Everybody just thinks monolithically. It's just one giant group think. And as opposed to, hey, what does a guy named Will who lives in Des Moines, Iowa, what does he think? What does a guy named Steve who lives in Des Moines, Iowa think? What's a guy named Mike who lives in Des Moines, Iowa think? Not say, what do these two white guys think and what's the black guy think? And what do these individuals think?
And if we're fighting for equality and freedom of speech, how come we can't have it? How come you can't have it? How come you can't have it, Mike? You know what I mean? Like how come when I decide to literally show people that we can actually work together and say together is so much better. How come I'm getting criticized for that? And the crazy thing is the people that's criticizing me is my own people. Most of the people are my own people criticizing me. They literally call me a traitor. And that hurts. That hurts to know that my own people is not actually seeing the vision, that you're saying that you want the government to help us. You want the police to understand us. So when I put this all together and it's actually working and it's coming together, it's like you want to criticize it. You want to beat it up. You want to destroy it. Is it because it's not you doing it? Is it because it's somebody else doing it? Is it because I'm not doing it your way? I thought the whole thing was to do it, to make it happen.
Do you want to win, or do you want to wait until we only win the way that you're comfortable with winning?
And that might take never.
Right.
So why not join someone who's actually bringing people together, and we're doing it in a way where we're actually happy?
Let me turn the conversation back around here, Mike. On your end, so you come from generations of cops.
Right.
You're a grizzled veteran.
Right.
Okay.
Grizzled. That's a
Did
good
you
word.
like that?
That's a good
The grizzled?
word.
I didn't
I
understand
thought
it
that's a nice way of saying you've done your job for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. But, he talked about trying to overcome some of the tribalism on his side of this divide. Is there any on your side as an officer? Hey, we've done these kinds of things before. They don't work. It's a revolving door. We arrest the same people over and over again. They come out. The rate of recidivism, we know what it is, right? This time it won't work. Do you have to fight some of that cynicism on your own end of this equation?
Absolutely. Here's the crazy part. I think when what happened in Minneapolis with the officer that knelt on the guy's neck, I think that was probably the most that the United States was unified at any time any time ever. Everyone in the country thought that was wrong. Every policeman, every white guy, every black guy, every Asian, everyone in the country thought that was wrong. And it was the most we were unified. And somehow it turned into splitting us even more. It angers me because somehow I got thrown into you're this guy because
Now
that
you're
guy did
labeled.
something. Yeah.
It's like you've done nothing else in your career other than you're associated with an incident that took place 3.5 hours from where you serve.
Right.
Yeah.
But on the other side, other people feel that way about police officers, that they judge other people because of maybe the color of their skin or whatever. But these are the kind of things that Will and I sit down and talk about. This is what you can't sit down with everyone you agree with and fix a problem, because if you agree on everything, there's nothing to solve.
Exactly. Yeah.
You have to be able to sit down with people who are different than you or might have different views than you to get things productive and get them fixed.
I can tell you, as somebody, when I first got into this business of media, I'm pretty confident and assured in my belief system. Otherwise, I would have a different belief system, right? But I loved testing it. I probably, I put the fun in fundamentalist. I like to say, Mike. But I probably did 50 appearances on MSNBC. I'd be the lone conservative on the panel, and so it would be me, a balanced panel on MSNBC was a left-wing host, 3 other left-wingers, and then me. All right, and then you always talked last.
Yeah,
all right, while they soaked up all the oxygen in the room, I heavily enjoyed it. I liked the contest. As long as I was free to give my opinion and back it up, I don't mind being outnumbered. I like testing what I think up against what you think, because if it doesn't stand up to your scrutiny, then I might want maybe what I think is wrong.
Right.
But we have gotten to the point that even in the last few years, they would never, after inviting me on 50 times, they'd never invite me on now. This thing has become so tribalistic. There can be, I had a chance to do an hour on C-SPAN yesterday. It was the first opportunity I've had in a few years, after seeking them out, to actually solicit contrary, opposing viewpoints, and where I had to actually respond to them. There's this notion that all we do is argue and debate all the time. I would actually make the case we don't argue and debate at all.
Right.
We call each other names on social media. We troll the hell out of each other. And then we call that an argument, and no idea was even exchanged.
Right.
And then when someone does have a different idea and they display it passionately, you immediately, since you don't know what an argument is, you immediately think we're being threatened. No, they just have a lot of conviction in what they have to say. You're welcome to show the same conviction. It just seems like outlets that we have to express these differences, we're silencing them today. And if you keep putting those pressures points and those tensions underneath the surface, eventually they're going to boil over.
Right. And I think some people have a belief that as long as they're louder and more out of control, the more right they are. And that's not necessarily...
Which caused fear.
I emote, therefore I am, basically. Yeah.
Which caused fear for others to speak up.
Right.
Because they're not that way. They're not that person that's loud. And my thing is that I'm telling the world, it's 5%. I'm just coming up with these numbers. 5% of
They're
people
probably
out there,
every bit as accurate as a lot of the data my audience has been exposed to in the last year. So go
put
ahead.
like this: 5% of people out there who are hateful and want to divide and loud at doing it. 95% of us really want to bring us together. How come we not getting louder? We can crush the 5%.
You can
Stop being afraid.
You can tell that just by the video. I mean, there were so many comments on our video that we did. And 95% of them were positive.
Yeah.
You're going to get that 5% who they don't want to see us work together. They don't want to see us fix this problem.
And that's why we said at the end of the video, I said, some people ain't gonna like this. And you said,
yeah.
I was saving that question for the end. I was watching the clock because I want to ask you about the end. What were you doing 5 years ago?
5 years ago, I was I was working for the post office.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I was working in the schools as well.
All right. The reason I bring that up because if I went back to 2016, Will Keeps and said, "Hey man, you're gonna get featured on the Sean Hannity show on Fox News tonight." 2016, Will Keeps probably been like, first of all, what the hell is a Sean Hannity?
Who's Sean Hannity?
Yeah, exactly. All right. But secondly, then when you found out, you're like, no way that's happening.
Right.
But it actually went down. So you spoiled.
I got criticized for that too.
Well, you spoiled the lead, or at least the conclusion. I wanted to ask you guys about how the video ends. All right. You guys have a very, and you have to listen carefully to it. All right. But there's a very important, poignant, a brief conversation the two of you have at the end of the video. Can you just kind of share that with the audience?
I literally said because I already know a lot of people are going to hate it. You know what I mean? So I was like, a lot of people are going to hate this, right?
And I said, yeah, but most are going to love it.
And you was right. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because we want people to understand that we're not caring. We're going to do what we got to do.
And I truly believe that people want this fixed. I think the majority of people, and the vast majority of people, want this fixed. So that's why we get people saying, oh man, I got goosebumps from that song. Oh man, I can't believe a policeman and this former gang member did this. And
right.
I think it makes people feel good. I think it's definitely a step in the right direction. And I think people really want that. I would find it hard to believe that they don't.
But I ain't gonna lie. I was like, wow, there's so many people actually love this. I got messages from all over the world. Like, thank you. Like, it gave me goosebumps. I was crying. It was some black folks too that was like some kid said to Sean, is it Hannity?
Yeah.
Said, I can't believe you even post this. I'm kind of proud of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I didn't know what they was talking about. I'm like, why wouldn't he post this? What type of person is he? You know what I'm saying? Why are they trying to say this about this dude?
Right.
But he posted it, and I was like, thank you, period. I wasn't going to go back in his past and be like, well, he said this or he said that. No, I was just like, thank you, Sean.
I want to do a routine background check of what rap lyrics he tweeted when he was 14
right. Thank you,
at some middle school and ended his life.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate you posting that. Because it showed the world that you are not everything they say you are.
Yeah. And he's willing to help. Like we said,
you're willing to bring people together. Yeah. And I'm cool. And that's all I needed. So when people come to me with the negative part of it, I'm like, yo, he shared it. I didn't ask him to. He shared it. Thank you.
Not to mention, hey, if you think it somehow someone's support of this conflicts with what they've said and done in the past, you know who has to reconcile that? they do. Why are you questioning me about it?
Right.
I'm not responsible for what they said and did in the past.
Right.
If it doesn't reconcile, you think it's contradictory, then you have to go ask them why that's the case.
Just like you, Steve.
Yeah.
Thank you. You shared it. Thank you. This is positive. This is healing. We need more people to share it, to give healing. Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome. Thank you guys for doing it.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool when I saw it.
Thank you.
You know, you guys actually do sing really well.
Well, he does.
Yeah. Now he's just showing off and getting cocky. All right?
I was playing.
No, but you guys, it's not just. It would have had a certain audience if it had a schmaltz or cheese factor to it, you know.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that you guys actually pull off a tough song to sing, you know.
You know, and I think I'm very lucky that it's in my vocal range, but he has a heck of a lot better range than I do. He can, sing the
Stop
harmonies.
playing, man. As soon as your voice come on, people like, who is that? They talk about your voice more than mine.
Well,
they talk about my harmony. They talk about your voice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We just want Bon Jovi to see it and maybe help us out a little bit with this.
All right, so we got about a minute here left. What's the next step then after you got attention all over the country, all over the world for this video? So what happens now? What's the next thing?
We just keep progressing. Hopefully, this is what we want. We want to be able to sit down with people and talk about it and express why we did it, what's happening with it and where it's going. People have asked if we're going to do another song. I don't know. We might do that, but for right now, we want to work on the problem at hand. And this kind of took us, like I said, it took us that first step in the right direction. And hopefully we can get some things done.
Gentlemen, thank you both for being here. We got to go. It was a pleasure.
Thank you
Congrats
for
on the
having us.
success of
Thank
the
you very
video
much.
as well.
Thank you.